enough. All right, guys. Well, everybody, welcome and thanks for joining us today. I said a few minutes ago, you know, we've got to look for ways to keep our incomes up there, and it ain't going to be selling UCAS. I kind of doubt it's going to be contact center, and certainly not going to be network. But what we're going to talk to you about today is just an unbelievable greenfield opportunity. Okay, so one of the things that I was talking to Zach about before the call started is the last 5 weeks have been crazy between Sandler's national event, Avant's national event, Intellisys' national event, Bridgepoint's national event. Um, I have been gone for literally the last month. Um, but one of the things that I've learned in talking to all of you guys is that there's one lesson we all learned in 2023. Our clients are still challenged with managing a remote workforce and or dealing with, what we can label as a challenging economy, which does beg the question, is there a better alternative to premise-based IT? Here's what our agenda, or here's my part of the agenda. I'm going to use the first slide to tell you what I'm not talking about. And then we're going to define a new term for you that we're calling cloud IT. I don't think it's a new term, and I think you guys already know what it is. But I'm going to talk about how to sell it. I'm going to talk about the problems that it solves. And then we're going to get into introducing Office in a Box, which is one of the more unique products that's available in the market today, but it will set the stage for you to continue to remain relevant with your customers for a really long period of time. I'm going to pause and tell you that when I get into the money, is Office in a Box cost effective? I'll let you know in advance that this is the most important slide that we're talking about. I want to talk about why you should sell it. And then I'm going to talk about getting started. From there, what we're going to do is we're going to transition to Zach. And Zach's going to walk you through some assets that we've got that he's developed from a marketing perspective to help you through all this. Okay, I'm not going to talk about Teams. I'm not going to talk about contact center and Teams. I'm not going to even talk about using virtual desktop as an alternative to buying a PC for a remote contact center agent. Today, the conversation is all about a product or set of products that covers all your asses. This is what we refer to as cloud IT, because cloud IT covers desktop, infrastructure, UC, backup, DR, software as a service, and security as a service. And this is basically a product that you can sell that will have an incredibly long life, because once people migrate IT to the cloud, it's very difficult to migrate the other way. So before we do that, we got to define what's going on in the business today. And one of the things that I've learned over the last 4 weeks is that our customers, your customers and your prospects are continuing to deploy IT the same way they've always done it. And it is absolutely archaic. And the image says it all. So let's talk about how your clients deploy IT today. First thing they do is they go out and they buy a bunch of PCs. And then they go out and they buy a bunch of servers. And then they start provisioning users. And they set up a firewall. And on those users, they deploy things like antivirus and web security. And since nobody works in the office anymore, everybody's got to have that VPN license so they can get access to the servers that were purchased by the CIO. They got to continue, as we know, security is a mainstream topic. They got to continue to manage their security on a daily basis. They've now got to manage all this licensing, right? Think about it. Antivirus, web filtering, VPN, they're all licenses, right? They've got to manage their backups, right? God forbid somebody doesn't back up data and they have an incident, right? They've got to keep their applications updated. They've got to optimize storage for two reasons. One, they don't want to pay for a bunch of storage they're not using, but more importantly, they want to make sure they've got enough storage for when they actually need to save something to actually back up. They got to pay somebody on their staff to do patching and updates. They got to pay somebody on their staff to do desktop and server maintenance. And when all this stuff's done, about every 3 years, they get to do it all over again. So we call this the old way, but this is the only way. This is how IT is deployed today. Without question, this has gone in the garbage. And the new way that we'll introduce today is this concept of cloud IT. And let's define that, right? Cloud IT, because you can see it's cloud-based desktops, cloud-based servers, cloud-based storage, cloud-based backup, licensing, collab, and security. So it's a fully managed solution that's highly secure and compliant, and it's delivered with a predictable cost model. That's why it's always been very popular with private equity, because they're not trying to continue to upgrade and patch, existing infrastructure. By going to a cloud-based model, they can drill down to exactly how much money per user per month. When you talk about how to sell it, if you're like, gee, I don't know IT, it doesn't matter. You know how to sell UCaaS. UCaaS back in the day was always about CapEx versus OpEx, right? Everybody wants operating expense. Nobody wants to spend capital, but the messaging is a little different, right? In the UCaaS world, it was don't give $100,000 to Avaya, give $3,000 to 8x8. It's the same thing. Stop investing in desktops and servers and storage and premise-based appliances. Migrate everything to the cloud, and you will have a fully managed and a predictable cost model that's highly secure and compliant. What are the problems that cloud IT solves? Well, remember from the first slide, the biggest problem is managing my remote workforce. So the biggest problem that it solves is I now can have people work anywhere on any device, and I don't have to continue to buy and refresh premise-based PCs and servers every 3 years. I, the CIO, am going to save a ton of time because implementing and supporting a virtual PC environment is measured in minutes instead of days and weeks. We'll talk about that when I get to the money. But what does it really enable the CIO to do? It enables them to use their existing IT resources on things more important than helping Mary Lou launch Excel. You cannot have a conversation about IT these days without talking about security. I want you to think about something. When I log into my virtual desktop, I am in the data center, right? The endpoint doesn't matter, right? All the endpoint protection and SASE and all the nonsense we hear on all these events that we go to kind of goes away when everybody's desktops and servers and storage and backup and all those things are in the data center. You log into it, you do your work, and when you leave, the data stays in the data center. Side benefit of all this is VPN licenses go away because the desktop is sitting in the cloud and the server's sitting in the cloud. So you no longer need to use a VPN to access some premise-based server. This is a really cool image. I want you guys to make sure that you get this. This is my Philly humor. For those of you that know that if you get a cheesesteak in Philadelphia, the first thing they say is, you want it with whiz or without whiz? We decided, as the only cloud communication and cloud computing company that exists in our business, to put together a package. $100 per user. It includes an 8 gig desktop. It includes 3 servers, right? It includes your Active Directory, domain controller, and storage server, right? In that storage server, because this is built for 100 users, there will be 1.1 terabits of storage for every 100 users. Full Veeam backup for all 1.1 terabits. This bundle includes your Office 365 E3 license and a Microsoft phone system license, because what else is included in this bundle is voice, right? So we're going to put Teams with our Teams voice solution with unlimited minutes and a DID. And then just round everything out, we're including the full security platform. which consists of Trend Micro for antivirus, Cisco Umbrella for web security, Enable for remote management and monitoring, and a cloud-based firewall. So this is the new bundle that covers all your asses, okay? Now, we've built this two ways, and I'll be toggling back and forth. This is the without. Without says, I want this solution, but I don't want Microsoft licensing. And we did this on purpose. So if you think about this, $100 is your Office in a box. We know that when customers look at this, they know that 1/3 of that $99 is Microsoft E3 and phone system. Whether you buy E3 and phone system from Evolve IP or you buy it from Microsoft, it's still $23 for E3 and $8 for a phone system license. The WIT, if you will, includes the Microsoft licensing, and then merely deduct the $31, which you'll see again in a minute. Now you're at $68.99. So you remember this slide? This is the slide that will get your CIO excited, okay? Because the CIO is going to say, yeah, this nonsense is a pain in the ass, and I really hate doing it, but it's the only way we've ever done things. Now you've shown me a better way. I can save a lot of time. Problem is that saving time doesn't get it past the CFO. So I told you I would tell you when the most important slide. This is the most important slide. Very, very conservative. You want that CIO to walk you into the CFO's office so you can talk to the CFO about what they're spending on IT today versus what they would spend if they migrated to the cloud. Now, in order to do that, you have to take capital items and manpower items and reduce them to average cost per user per month. And for those of you that are saying, I want to make sure I understand the math, all the math is going to come in on this slide. Sometimes when you're looking for general information, it's easy to go to Google. I went to Google and I said, what's the average price of a new business PC? And they said between $800 and $1,500. Okay. You see the number in bold, $800. I use the low number for every single one of these. Now, very simply, if you buy a PC in 2023, 3 years later, you're going to buy another one. You're going to be a refresh cycle, about 3 years. Okay. So very simply, $800 divided by 36 months means that $800 capital expense has an average cost per user per month of $22.22. We all know as consumers and business people know that you can't buy a PC, take it out of the box and plug it in. It has to be provisioned. Any IT professional will tell you that it takes 4 hours to provision a single PC. It takes 10 minutes to provision one virtually, but it takes 4 hours to provision a PC. The average price of an IT professional today is $150,000 a year. Very simple. $150,000 divided by 50 weeks divided by 40 hours is $75 an hour. So the true cost of a PC adds another $300 to provision it. So $1,100 total, but $300 divided by 36 months means that the average cost per user per month for just the PC is $30 and roughly 50 cents. Okay. Everything, I don't care if it's premise-based or it's cloud-based, needs antivirus, needs web filtering, needs remote monitor and management, needs a firewall, and since nobody works in the office, everybody's got to have a VPN. These are pass-through costs. You're still giving Symantec $3 for that PC user, part of the managed licensing, right? Still costs $4 for Cisco Umbrella, whether you buy it for your PC or you buy it in the cloud. So really, these costs, $343, $1.50, and $10, just transfer over because they're already average cost per user per month. Our bundle includes desktop maintenance, server maintenance, security patching. Google says that the average mid-market company will spend 2 to 10 hours a month doing security patching, 1 to 10 hours a month doing desktop maintenance, and 1 to 10 hours a month doing server maintenance. In order to reduce that, though, to the average cost per user per month, remember, our bundle is for 100 users. So 2 hours times $75 divided by 100 users means that the average cost per user per month for security patching is $1.50. We use the low number. All the numbers you see in bold are the numbers we use for this math, and this makes a great deal of sense. Our bundle includes 3 servers, right? You've got Active Directory domain controller times 2, plus a storage server, okay? The lowest price I could find for a server was $2,000. Now, that's one server that's going to last for 36 months, but over 100 users. So the math on this is 2,000 times 2, right? Because Active Directory domain controller times 2, divided by 36 months, divided by 100 users, adds another $1.10 for Active Directory and adds another 55 cents for your storage server. Obviously, we're not done. Our bundle includes backup. I think a very conservative figure for what does it cost for backup is $1 per gig per month. If you recall, our bundle includes 1.1 terabits, which is 2,200 gigs. 2,200 gigs times $1 divided by 100 users, there's $22 to the bottom line. Again, taking the cost of data backup and reducing it to the average cost per user per month. Well, Microsoft's getting their piece. Whether you buy it from Microsoft, you buy it from CDW, you buy it from Evolve IP, E3 and phone systems, $31. It's $31 for Prem, it's $31 for virtual. So that also is a monthly cost that translates over to average cost per user per month. Our bundle includes voice. And whether you would suggest that voice is erased to zero doesn't make a difference. I use $7. That's pretty darn conservative. So $7 per user per month for Teams voice, another $7 is an average cost per user per month. What I didn't do, and I could have, is that at the end of 3 years, you got to go out and buy 100 new PCs at $800 a piece and buy 3 more servers, right? But I didn't use it. I didn't use these numbers in the calculation. Add that all up, the average cost per user per month for premise-based IT, conservatively, is $116.70, but multiplied by 100 and multiplied by 36 months, that's where the real money's at. CFO understands that. 420 grand. Now remember, you're sitting in this meeting with the CFO, your CIO's there. This is all the math that I went over a minute ago, and I have no problem you passing this on to your clients as well. Put an office in a box now. It's $99 per user. All of it includes provisioning, it includes AV, web filtering, RMM, firewall, VPN's not needed. It's got your maintenance included, it's got your servers included, it's got your backup included, it's got your licensing included, it's got your UCAS included, and you don't even have to worry about PC refresh and server refresh because that device isn't doing anything. This is what the CFO needs. The CFO needs to see the 15 to 20% cost savings every month. So you've got, on one hand, you've got a CIO that everything that says included or not applicable represents a time savings to the CIO. The red and the green at the bottom represents a cost savings to a CFO. This is this is greenfield opportunity. Similar, I was at an event, I heard Zane Long from Ring Central talk about, hey, we're going to pay 15x because we're not selling Zoom anymore. We're not selling Nice in Contact. We've got our own intellectual property, and we want It's a smart move. They want to seed their new customers with their own intellectual property. We've decided, we're not as big as Ring Centrals, but we've decided to put our money where our mouth is as well. We believe in Office in a Box so much that if you sell a deal with us, right, we're going to pay you 3x on a 2-year deal or 4x on a 3-year deal. And if we get in and talk to a client that's interested in doing this and they want to pull the trigger by the end of Q1 2024, we'll put another turn on that and pay 4x or 5x. We were always the only vendor that pays any kind of spiff on IT solutions. Now we're giving you an opportunity to get either an extra 1x or 2x by combining that with the voice solutions all at the same time. All right, last couple slides from me. I want to talk about, if this was me, how would I sell this? And here's a little hint. More than likely, people will not be in a position to buy all of these segments at the same time. But selling the concept is really important. Selling the concept of a cloud-based delivery model that's, again, fully managed, completely secure, and compliant. So that's going to make a whole lot of sense to people in finance and medical, right? That's very cost effective, as we saw from the previous slide, and cost predictable, as we talked about earlier. Got to sell that concept. From there, though, you got to kind of figure out what's relevant today. Maybe it's licensing and, maybe it's Office 365 and Teams voice, or, maybe it's desktop and infrastructure. What's important is whatever it is that they have a need for today is what we want to sell them today, but it's really critical that we do this step 3, right? And the step 3 is this account mapping, right? Again, what is our goal as a partner? Well, to be relevant, to stay relevant with our clients. How do you do that? You do that by saying, all right, I know you bought desktop and infrastructure. When does your UCAS contract end? Because I'll get in touch with you 6 months and we can start filling in the rest of the pieces here. So you can't walk away from that initial sale without going back to the concept and saying, when is the contract end date for Office 365? When is a more natural time for us to talk about desktop migration? You got to get those contract end dates. You got to understand your quantities, but the most important part of it is that you engage in an open dialogue with your client to say, this is where we want, you remember from the first part, this is where we want to get to. We want to get to this cost-effective, fully managed, secure and compliant, cloud-based architecture, but we can't get to it yet. However, I'm not going to forget about you. You're not going to forget about me. So let's make sure that we're working towards this. Our agreed upon communication plan is going to be based on your contract end dates. So if you know that they need to replace storage arrays in 12 months, 6 months, Mr. Customer, in 6 months, I'm going to call you. We're going to get this piece of the pie worked into your equation. All right, my last slide. This is the data sheet for Office in a Box. By all means, grab it, but I'm going to go ahead and stop talking right now, transition over to Zach, and I want him to walk you through some of the marketing resources that we've got.
Real quick, Gary, do you want to answer some of these chat questions before I get into that? There's only a few of them.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so first one's from Joe Mailer. I believe that's how you say that. So there's a push for hybrid cloud, and he's asking, is this done in a hybrid way or is it all cloud-based?
Well, it could be done in a hybrid way. And I think when you're saying hybrid, Joe, you're talking about some databases remaining on premise and some databases migrating to the cloud. If you say hybrid as in hyperscaler, like some databases running in Amazon and some databases running in private cloud, this This bundle, if you will, is built as private cloud deployment, not public cloud deployment. But I see no reason that we couldn't support an environment where you've got, some premise-based infrastructure. We have a lot of, and another way to answer this, Joe, is we still have a lot of customers, even though they don't need a VPN, that still use a VPN even in our virtual environment to reach things like premise-based AS400s as an example of things that are that can't be virtualized. So the answer to your question is yes.
And then we had another question. Who does the end user reach out to when they need support?
Okay, so great question. We are a tier two shop, okay, which means that we are not an MSP. We are not a local IT resource, right? We are not, an external IT resource. All customers, this is not a replacement for local IT support. Mary Lou still going to have trouble launching Excel when she had a PC or when she has a virtual PC. And there's going to need to be a resource. Hopefully, some of the people on the phone here are actually MSPs that deliver those solutions. For MSPs, whether that environment is premise based or virtual, everything they do stays the same. They still provision users, they still support end users. What we do is that if there's a problem with the environment or or the infrastructure or the licensing, we become the tier two. We're responsibility for uptime of the platform.
Last one here. What about the expense associated with the device required to access the service? Is that being factored into the numbers, or is there some other assumption?
Yeah. So there is some other assumption. Remember one thing about virtual desktop, it'll run on anything. I wouldn't do it, but I could run it on my phone. I could run it on my Windows 7 machine. I wouldn't recommend doing that. But the assumption here is that everybody already has something, right? Since that end device that they're currently using today is the same, a PC is built in the same premise as a virtual PC is. It's got CPU, RAM, disk, and an operating system. Those components are now being delivered as a cloud service. So the device itself is either going to be whatever they've got right now, or if the company says we want to replace whatever they have now with some lower cost device like a Chromebook or an iPad or a thin client, you know, they can do that. But we are providing the service, not the gear. All right, I'm going to stop presenting. And Zach, you run your last few slides and we'll get everybody out of here for our allotted time.
Yep. So I only have 2 slides for you all. And I'm going to preface this by saying a lot of what I do for partners is sort of this concept of partner enablement. So if there is anything that any of you all need from me, whether it's collateral, assets, whatever. If you want help with marketing specifically to our solutions, that's what I'm here for. So for this call, I wanted to give you all some access to resources specific to Office in a Box. So one of the things I'm willing to do is, Tim says drum solo, maybe Tim. Um, I have put together some resources specific to Office in a Box. The first one is this DAS use case and top industries data sheet. This is a 3-parter. If your clientele or customer base is not familiar with the concept of virtual desktop, this is a great introduction to that. This is a 3-page asset. The second one, which you've already seen, is this Office in a Box 1-pager. And as a reminder, if you send me your high-res logo and some contact information that you'd like on here, I do this all the time, and I can turn it around for you pretty quick. I can put your logo on here, your contact info, and you can start sending that out to your customer base. The other thing that we've got is a 3-part drip sequence email campaign. So I've put this together and it's sort of geared towards end users, obviously. So whatever outreach tool you're using today, you would just load this up into your outreach tool and, drip it out however long you typically would do that. But I would co-brand this for you as well. I definitely wanted to make this available to you all. And the only thing that I ask is if you choose to do the outreach sequence, I just like to know how it is going. So I love the feedback. Last slide I have for you, which I'm going to actually walk you all through this right now, is our partner resources. Okay. So I'm going to hop out of here and I'm just going to walk you all through how to get there. So this is our homepage, evolveip.net. What you're going to do is you're going to go up here to the partners section and you're going to come over to partner community. So that's going to take you to our new page. Essentially what's happening is we have migrated from our old partner portal and we've migrated everything over to our site. It doesn't require a password. All you got to do is know how to get there. Okay. So in this page, we're going to focus on a couple things here. Number one is Office in a Box. So this is going to be more information for you all, specific to the partners on Office in a Box and everything that it entails. Okay. There's that. And if you want to set up a meeting, I've linked this request more information to the channel directors meeting link, so you can get direct to them. Next thing here is, and we'll get to Knowledge Center in a second, but opportunity registration. So historically, this was in our portal. It's now on our site. So if you run across an opportunity and you've discussed it with your corresponding channel director, you can come in here and you can put all the information in here and it'll come directly to us. Okay, and again, it's carbon copy from what was on our portal before. No password needed. Last thing is, and this is a little bit complex, this is our new knowledge center. So I've done my best to put all of our all of the relative resources in here that are applicable to you all. So all the most recent webinar recordings are going to be in here. There's 6 or 8, 10. So definitely check those out. This one that we're on today will be in here shortly. The next thing is a new desktop as a service walkthrough guide. So if you don't know anything about desktop as a service, this is going to walk you through, the introduction, why should you even care about DAS, ideal prospects, so on and so forth. It's very comprehensive. Check that out. I have another one for UCAS, not as long, but definitely still some good information in there. And then the last thing is our assets and collaterals page. So this is going to have everything that is relative and important to our partner community all on one page. So you can click on each of these and it'll take you to be able to download it. So here's some overview assets. We've got case studies in here. We've got all of our DAS assets right here. And just so you all know, if you see anything in here that is relevant to your customer base, I can co-brand any one of these for you. So it's as simple as, sending me the links to each one, or just tell me the name of it and send me your logo, send me your contact information that you want on there, and I can co-brand these for you. So here's some more drip sequences. These are all specific to DAS. I do have some Microsoft Teams drip sequences as well for you. But that can all be found here. So there's a ton of resources available to you all. And again, any of these that you want me to co-brand for you, do not hesitate to reach out. It does not take me very long to turn those around for you. So that is pretty much all that I have. I think we
So,
had.
Zach, do you mind? I just want to address a couple more questions that kind of popped in as I was looking at this. Joe came back and I do want to mention this. Joe said I can see hybrid being more palatable, a more palatable way, as folks are saying all cloud is being too expensive. Joe, I got to tell you what I would really encourage is that just is to go through those cost items that I went through during my portion. And if you want, somebody like me or one of the channel guys can absolutely go through that with your client slash prospect, because it's not too expensive. Actually, when you put them side by side, it's actually less expensive. I think that there is a misnomer out there because people, not smartly, migrated their infrastructure to people like AWS and Azure, and then got that, then got sticker shock when the bill came in with all those egress charges. So that unfortunately is not the same thing as Office in a Box. So I think we can help with that. Now, Jessica, just an FYI, and it was great seeing you guys last week. I will say that the pricing at $99 is built around 100. We can take this down to 30. Price won't be $99, but it won't be double. It'll be slightly higher than $99. If there's a client out there with, say, 30 users that wants to do this. By the same token, it can go well over the 100, 200, 500, 1,000, and then the price will come down. Okay. Then I see one more thing here. One great bit of a voice side. Then it's like voice. Jason, interesting. Jason says one great benefit is the voice side, and you're right. With MS licensing and voice add-on, will cost $30 to $40. Yeah, if you bought it from Microsoft, you're right. So one of the things that we were very particular about this was that we did want to create this so that it had E3, it had Microsoft phone system, and it had unlimited voice and unlimited minutes. And when I did the comparison, I only said $7 for voice. But you're right. If you buy it from Microsoft, it's in the $30 to $40 range. And then one last question I see here from Danny: is there DRAS built in? So DRAS, in the true sense of DRAS, is being able to say, I'm going to stand up this infrastructure in, let's call it our Philly data center, but in the event that lightning strikes the Philly data center, I want to be able to stand this up in another data center. That's the true definition of disaster recovery as a service, is when you're using somebody like Zerto that can do a flash migration from your home data center to an alternative data center. So DR, in that definition of DR, that is not built into the solution. In another definition of DR, is cloud-based considerably more disaster proof than premise-based? I think we all know the answer to that. Between acts of God and PC problems and server problems and everything that could potentially go wrong with, premise-based servers and premise-based PCs and, and acts of God, problems with premise-based hardware is, a disaster waiting to happen. And I don't know, I stopped tracking it. I think that's it, right?
Should be it. We had one more. What is it's from Jim Koritz. So what is the process for it to load the desktop? And then he says, is there a demo for us to log into?
I mean, we can JK, good to hear from you. We can, listen, the one thing about demo for desktop, it's so boring. I mean, it's an icon. It's VMware icon installed on your PC. When you double click it, it opens up. It looks like you started up your PC. It's easy to demonstrate, but it's not. There's nothing magical about it. It's the same thing as hitting the little start menu. It's an operating system that's just not part of the PC. It's part of the virtual PC. So I hope that was what you were looking for. I'm looking at 12:15 on the dot here, Zach, aren't you?
I am.
I want to get in and out on time. I want to thank everybody for participating. I also want to recognize the fact that we had a lot of people on this call. We didn't lose anybody. So really great chatting with you guys. Don't eat too much candy. That's the best advice I can give you from an old man. We all good, Zach?
You're all good. And just as a reminder, if anybody needs anything as far as co-branding, please email me and we will get you taken care of. Thanks, everybody. That's it.
See ya.